Hi guys, and welcome back. We are on our second session of our lesson. We are still in lesson number one, which is the whole lesson itself is entitled Basic Site Evaluation. Now, last time we were talking about the cyber guide rules for evaluating website. Okay, today we are going to talk about some principles of interaction design. Okay, uh, prepare yourselves. We have quite a lengthy discussion on this topic for today, and I hope you'll have enough patience and uh, enough strength, all right, to see through our lesson today. Okay, so for today's topic, as I have said, we will be talking about the principles of interaction design. Okay, we will be talking about what is anticipation. Okay, how anticipation plays a role in the development of your web pages or websites. Then we will also be talking about autonomy. How does autonomy uh, play a role in the access of our users to our websites? Then we will also be talking about consistency, which is very important when you're designing a web page or a website, because this will help you establish your signature towards your audiences. Okay, so consistency will play a role in how you would um, design your buttons, design your forms, even the use of fonts and the placement of fonts and elements in your website. Okay, then we will also be talking about user productivity. How can we enhance user productivity in the access of your website? Then, of course, we'll be also talking about color blindness. Yes, color blindness is a very important topic that we also need to discuss, because when we design a web page or a website, we cannot just right away pick all the colors that we can see and put that all in our website. There are a lot of users out there who are colorblind, and we have to cater to each one of them, and we have to consider them, put them in our mind when we design our websites. Okay, and of course we'll be also talking about defaults. What are the default structure of your website? What are the default dialogues that we are going to include in our design? And whenever the user comes to our website, what are the first things that they would see in our website? So all of this we'll be discussing in detail in a little while. All right, there are a lot of principles of interaction design, but I will concentrate on the first six that I mentioned a while ago. All right, so if you are ready, let's proceed with our discussion. Okay, so welcome to lesson 1B. This is the second part of our first lesson in WebDes. We are still on the basic site evaluation, but today we are going to discuss some principles of interaction design. We have discussed last time that it is very important that we need to do some planning before we can execute the design or the coding of our web pages. So one of those or some of those are the principles that we need to understand before we can actually go into the design of our web page, and these are the principles of interaction design. Now, we have to understand that effective interfaces are visually apparent and forgiving, instilling in their users a sense of control. When we talk about visually apparent and forgiving, what does it mean? Guys, it simply means that the users can quickly see the breadth of their options. What am I clicking here? All right. What are the things that I need to expect in this website? Okay, so they are visually apparent. They are there right away. We don't uh, try to hide the context or the message of our website, thinking that once they start clicking on these buttons, they will just know what the website is. That's not how it is. The very first thing that the users will have to experience when they visit your website is that they can quickly see what are their options for visiting your website. And then when we're talking about sense of control, it means that the users can now grasp how they can achieve their goals. In the first place, they visited your website with a main goal and a purpose of being informed, of getting the information that they need. That's why they are there. So they need to have that control when they see your site, when they visit your site and say, all right, I guess I'll get a lot of information here, so I'll stay around. Okay, so that's where they're gonna do their work. Okay, so that's very important. So two things: your interfaces should be visually apparent, and at the same time it will offer a sense of control for your users. Now, effective designs of your applications and services perform what we call a maximum of work while requiring a minimum of information from the user. It's basically letting your website do the working. Okay? Uh, Removing from the users the struggle to understand what your website is all about. Okay, so in short, guys, when we design websites, we have to consider that everything that we do should make our users uh, be put to ease. Okay, so they are there to relax. That's why they're there to get informed, not to get stressed in our websites. So the first thing that we'll be discussing is all about anticipation. Okay, anticipation is when you are trying to think of something that you expect to happen. Okay, so in this picture, for example, the guy that's sitting on top of the snow shelf is thinking he's gonna catch a fish, but he's not expecting a monster fish. Okay, so he's just anticipating to you know get a good fish. Now, in the area of designing, um, application should attempt to anticipate the user's wants and needs. Okay, very important. When you design your website, anticipate. Will this be what they want? Will this be what they need to see, to access my website? Okay, so that is anticipation. What do you want to offer? What can your website do? So you anticipate. Do not expect the users to search for or gather information or evoke necessary tools. Have you ever visited a website that you need to open another website just to get information about what you're trying to open in this website? Am I making sense? Okay. Uh, Example, you opened a website and then the first thing that you saw there are, you know, texts and words that it is quite difficult for you to comprehend or understand, that you opened another window and googled some words that you read in that website. Do you understand? All right. So in this case, you are actually doing a lot of work. Why? Because supposedly you're just gonna open a website and just click and then read. Now you open another website simply just to define what are the things that you're reading in this website. That is a lot of work. Now, when you anticipate in designing your website, you have to bring to the user all the information and tools that he needs for each step of the process. Don't make it a guessing game for your users, guys. Okay? So it's basically putting every information that necessary. That's why you need to anticipate, because you can remember you can also overload your website with unnecessary information. So just be careful. Do you understand? Be careful. So the bottom line is you have to bring all the information, all the tools that your users will be using, will be accessing uh, in your website. Okay, that is very important. Here's an example. A while ago, I was searching for a video that I want to use in our discussion for anticipation of the principle of design. So, YouTube showed me some lists of the videos. And if you look at the screen, you can actually, okay, see here, okay, this is what YouTube did. Okay, so YouTube uh, gave me a an additional list, simply labeling it for you. So YouTube anticipated what are the topics that I may be searching for, and then listed additional information. That is what anticipation is all about. So the next principle is called autonomy. What is autonomy? The computer, the interface, the tasks, the environments that we will develop in our web page should quote and unquote belong to the user. Okay, what does it mean when we say it belongs to the user? It means that we need to give the user some breathing room. Let the users move around. Let them click the buttons without uh, getting into trouble. All right, let them explore the website. Also, we need to place the user somewhat quote and unquote in charge of our website, when in fact, uh, since we developed the website, the user autonomy doesn't mean that we also abandon the rules. You get my point? When they visit your website, give them the freedom to explore, but initiate some rules and guidelines within your website, so too that they will not also get lost or get confused. Why is that? Let me give you an example. When we talk about autonomy, let's take a look at the picture on your left. What do you see? That's a child crying, right? Trying to wriggle itself away from his mom, and he wants to, just get that freedom to run around the mall. You've seen this kind of kids, right? So, in this way, we can say that the kid is asking for autonomy. Do you agree? Right. But if you look at the right picture, this also happens a lot in the mall. Leave the kid behind. Leave him, just leave him somewhere in the mall with no supervision. What happens? This kid will also start to cry, because now he will be looking for his parents or his guardians in the process of being assured that he is safe. You get the point? So this is a paradox actually. Bring the kids to the mall and they will try to wriggle their way to get that freedom, but leave them and they're gonna cry because they're gonna get scared. That is what autonomy is all about. It's about controlling what we can access and what we can give as a security to our users, so that they will not get confused or get scared of, going around our website. You get the picture? All right. Now, we have to make use of status mechanisms to keep the users aware and informed. That's very important, because users must respond appropriately to the changing conditions. when they click on something, they must be able to identify, oh, okay, so this is what happened. Okay, I click this link. This is where it went. Now, I click 3 links. It went this way. How can I get back to the original link or to the home page where I was before? So, when you design something, you have to make sure that there are mechanisms to keep your users, again, they should be aware where they are, and then inform them of how they can probably get back to where they were before. So awareness and information is also important in the role of designing an autonomous website. Okay, so I guess, or I hope that this is getting through to you right now. So autonomy means the freedom, but at the same time, there are rules. Doesn't mean that in the concept or the context of autonomy, you are totally free to do whatever you want with no rules. That's not how autonomy is, even in the real world scenario. Okay? No autonomy can exist in the absence of control, and control cannot be exerted in the absence of sufficient information. Let's first dissect the first one. No autonomy can exist in the absence of control. What do we mean by absence of control? It means accountability, it means responsibility. Okay? Um, Autonomy cannot exist without responsibility. You need to have responsibility. You need to be responsible. And at the same time, in our society, for example, let me give you a clear example. We are living in a democratic society, right? We are free to do what we think we can do, right? We are free to perform uh, some activities that we think is right. Okay? Uh, Example, driving. Driving freely in our streets is acceptable. But the moment you drive without responsibility, you hit somebody, then you are accountable. There is a control being placed. There's a law about hitting someone. That's why when you hit someone on the street with your car, you don't escape because you will be uh, slapped with hit and run. Okay? Uh, Resulting to injury. Okay? So that's what we call accountability. Then there's also what we call uh, control cannot be exerted in the absence of sufficient information. People should know, they should be participating in the implementation. Okay? So there's accountability and there's participation. The example again is this. If I hit somebody with my car and there is no law about hitting somebody with your vehicle and then I just, drive away, then I could always argue with the police that, I don't know there's a law about hit and run. There are no laws about this. So why are you charging me with this crime? All right? So participation means that there is knowledge, there is information on the part of the user when it comes to information. Let me tie this down with web design. Your website should be able to give your users the freedom to access everything within your site. Okay? That's control. But they should not be able to access your database or your records or your files within the boundary of your design. Okay, so they can only access information, but they cannot access crucial data in relation to the design of your website. That is what autonomy is all about. Am I making sense? Okay, so I hope I am. Okay, So moving on, still in autonomy, we need to make sure that we keep the status information up to date and within easy view. What does this mean? It means, guys, that users should be able to glance at their work environment. They should know that what data they are accessing is up to date. The data that they are trying to access is in relation to their work environment. Okay, so it has to be up to date or updated in such a way that the users will be able to use those information. Within easy view means that the user should be able to gather the state of their work and their workload. All right, so this is the thing. When I access a website, I could easily see what are the information that I can get from this website, and if this information will help me perform my work in search of this information or data. So it has to be up to date. It has to be within easy view of your users. Also, that is autonomy. Now, you have to understand when you design an element, for example, okay, your status information can be subtle. What do I mean by this? Let's take a look at this picture. You're familiar with this, right? These are recycle bins. The status of these recycle bins can be, shall we say, assigned to empty with no contents, somewhat full, which is almost full, or overflowing. Okay? So which means that your recycle bin is already at a bursting state. Okay? So overflowing. But actually in Windows, we only have two status information about the recycle bins, whether it's gonna be empty or it has some deleted files. Okay, but we don't have any overflowing status. Okay, so the subtlety of the information can be implemented in your design. This is what it means here. Okay. Now, status information should not be overdone. Okay? Can I give an information to my users that my recycle bin is empty and full? Yes or no? Yes, that would be enough. That would be sufficient. But to add another status such as overflowing or about to explode or you are running out of recycle bin space, I think that is also an overdone status information. Okay? We can actually tell the user if it is empty or it has some files, but we don't have to overdo the statuses that we post in our website. Do you understand? Okay. Now, this came into light, okay, because a few years back, Mac, shortcut for Macintosh, showed an icon of a trash can of imminent danger of explosion if a single document was placed therein. Okay? In short, it's nice design. They have two statuses only. Okay, one if it is empty, and the other one it has trash in it. Okay, garbage file. But the problem with this design is that they overdid the design. Imagine you only have to delete a file, put that in the recycle bin, and this recycle bin starts to bulge as if it's gonna explode. Alright? So what happened? The effect of this to the users was quite big. Why? Every time the user, think about this, every time the user would delete a file, the user would at the same time empty the recycle bin. How many steps did that take for the user to just delete the file? Okay, 1, click the file. 2, right click delete. right? Supposed to be it would stop there because it will just go to the recycle bin. But the problem with this design is that it happens this way. 1. Click on the file. 2. Right click and hit delete. 3. Click on the recycle bin. 4. Right click on the recycle bin and click empty recycle bin. That is 4 steps compared to 2 steps. You get the point? So there's a problem when we overdo things. We add work to the to the user which they should not. Okay, so that is what this autonomy is all about. Okay, give them the freedom to delete the files, but at the same time, don't overdo it in such a way that it will give them an extra step to simply perform the process. Okay? All right. Now let's talk about color blindness. Okay? Color blindness is a condition, okay? And a lot of people are affected with this. To give us an idea what color blindness is all about, let's take a look at this video.
Huh? What is color blindness?
A color festival.
No.
Huh?
Color blindness or color deficiency is a vision problem. Now, our eyes have light-sensitive cells called rods and cones.
Can I put ice cream on these cones?
Oh, you are just unbelievable. Rods are responsible for black and white vision. They do not detect color, whereas cones detect color. There are 3 types of cones. One cone perceives red light, another perceives green, and the third perceives blue. Together, these cones help us to see the whole spectrum of colors. Now, in some cases, when one or more types of cones do not work properly, it causes color blindness. People with such deficiency have difficulty in distinguishing between certain colors or shades.
Alright, so in that video, it showed us what color blindness is all about. Okay? And we have seen that, I guess you have now an idea where RGB was taken from, right? It's directly from our eyes. Red, green, blue. And the combination of these colors create a spectrum of our colors. In fact, our human eyes can actually see more than several millions of colors or color combinations. But sad to say, there are some that experience what we call color blindness. Okay, what are this, or who are this type of people that experience color blindness? Now, if the red cones, remember the cones, they're the ones responsible for our colors. The rods are for black and white. Okay, now if the reds are not functioning, this kind of color blindness is called protanopia. Okay, and later I'll show you what people see if they're experiencing protanopia. Okay. Further, if the greens are not functioning, the green cones are not functioning, that is called deuteranopia. Okay. Deuteranopia is where the greens are not functioning. So protanopia are the reds, deuteranopia are for the greens, and how about the blues? Well, the absence of blues, or the absence of blues, which are quite extremely rare, are called tritanopia. Okay, so red, protanopia; green, deuteranopia; blue, tritanopia. Now look at this. This is the color of the rainbow as viewed by a person with no color vision deficiencies. Okay, I hope you're all seeing the colors, because if you miss some colors there, you need to see an eye doctor and have your eyes examined. Okay? Now, what are the colors, or how do people with color blindness see colors? With people experiencing protanopia, this is what they would see. Okay? Again, what is protanopia? That is the absence of red. Okay? Regular color, protanopia. See, there are no reds. Okay? Then there is also deuteranopia, which is the absence of green. Okay? But you might wonder, wait a minute, I still don't see red. Okay? Because, guys, red and green are the most common color blindness sickness, okay, or deficiencies or problem. So usually if you experience deuteranopia, you also will experience protanopia. Okay, you will see also the absence of red. But you can actually see in some cases there are people that could see a very faint um, shade of red when they're experiencing being deuteranopia. Okay. On the third level is what we call tritanopia, the absence of blue. Tritanopia people would not see actually that blue, but more of a violet or brownish or light blue, but the exact spectrum of blue is not there. Okay, so that is tritanopia. So color blindness, as I've said earlier, protanopia and deuteranopia are the most popular forms of color blindness. Okay, they call this the red-green blindness. All right, so that's color blindness in a nutshell. Now, if you are concerned about your vision, whether you're colorblind or not, I want you to go to this website. That's enchroma.com/pages/test and try doing their colorblind test. Right? In this way, you will have an idea, more or less, what color spectrums or shades are missing in your vision. Or hopefully, your vision is very good. Okay, I did the test and I am in the normal range. Thank God for that. Okay? So, go to this site and take their online test. It's a quick one, 20 items of color test. Okay? All right. Then we talk about consistency. Okay? Consistency is the ability of your website to display or to uh, structure itself in a way that when a user click a page, it doesn't change over and over again. Okay, so consistency is very important. According to Jacob Nielsen, is the guru of web page usability. He's one of the, shall we say, grandfather of web page usability design. He said that consistency is one of the most powerful usability principle. Why? Because when things always behave the same, the users don't have to worry about what will happen. Do you agree? When things always behave the same, users don't have to worry about what will happen. It's the same way when you turn on your gas stove. Okay? You know that every time you would turn on that switch, okay, what will happen? Fire will always come out of the burner, right? Same way with the light switch. Every time you turn on the switch, you know that the light will shine. Okay? It's not that every time you turn on the switch, right? Today, I don't know, will there be a spark, right? Or if I turn on the switch, will the light bulbs explode? Today, if I turn on the switch, will I see light or will I see fire? Okay, so what I'm trying to say is consistency is when things behave the same, all right, it will always give you the same outcome or output. Okay, that is what consistency is all about. Consistency is the key principle of user experience design. That's very important. It's a very key principle because Usability and user-friendly design will always provide a consistent experience. Okay? It's not like ordering your favorite food. Today it's delicious, tomorrow it's not. Have you experienced that? Even when you cook something uh, of the same food, right? There are days that you don't feel well about your taste buds. Okay, so there's inconsistency in your cooking experience. Okay, but in web design, consistency is promoted so that it will always have a consistent experience for your users, and that is important so that they will not get confused. Consistency helps to reduce the learning time for product since users gets familiar with the given experience. Okay, so whenever they visit your website, they already know where to go, what to click uh, in your website. Okay, what to read. Okay, where is the element found. So, example, when you go to Facebook, right? Every day, if you're using Facebook, now you're familiar with the structure of the Facebook screen, right? Because that's consistency. It's not that every day when you open Facebook, some of the elements are found somewhere else. Okay, if I ask you, uh, in your experience, how many times did Facebook change their UX? We can actually count with our fingers. If I'm not mistaken, there are only 4 times. Okay? The latest was when they changed their design last year. Okay? 4 times. Why? Because they need the users to get familiar, to get the experience with minimal work on the side of the user. That is what consistency is all about. Consistency needs to achieve both in terms of visual design and experience. That's very important. Okay? They need to achieve both visual design. It doesn't mean that for your design to be visually appealing, you need to change the placement, the colors, the text, always. Okay? It all boils down to the experience and the structure. Again, simplicity will most of the time work rather than bulkiness of your website. You get the point? Okay. According to Timothy Smith, a UX designer in Booth company, he identified the areas of a design where consistency should be taken care. Okay? What are these areas? You have to be consistent in the area of elements, your buttons, your graphics, your text, your fonts, your mouse pointers, even that. You have to be consistent with your design itself. What color combinations are you going to use? What fonts and sizes in every page that you're going to use? The contents. How are the contents be placed? How many subtopics can you accommodate in one page? Okay, so consistency should also be found there. If you always start with 3 subtopics, then be consistent with those. Okay, don't start with 3, then jump to 5, then 2 and 1, and then 11 at one time. Okay, then interactions. Be consistent also with the way your website interact with your users. Okay, such as button sizes, mouse pointers, link colors. Okay, so that your users will have a holistic experience in your website. Platform. If your design will only work for laptops, then you should inform your users that they will only work for laptops or for PCs or for mobile. Okay, but it is advisable nowadays that design should work in all platforms. Okay, so but then again, if you designed it only to work in one platform, inform your users. So consistency also plays a role. If the user finds a different experience on multiple devices, he will quickly get fed up of the product and probably will not be coming back to access your website. Okay? Again, as I mentioned before, users are very picky when it comes to design, accessibility. That's why we need to be consistent, okay, in every approach that we do to web design. It will take a lot of his time when he needs to learn new things. It will take a lot of his time when he needs to find the required features. It will take a lot of his time when he uses your product because he has to learn again and again and again. Okay, so that is a negative impact or a minus factor for your website. Okay. Further, consistency would also mean that a simple way to ensure consistency throughout your product is to maintain your own user interface guideline. Create your own rules. This is your own signature now. Okay? If I'm gonna be using black and white in my designs, then I'm gonna stick with it. Okay? I don't have time to experiment on other color combinations. So this is what my web designs are all about. Okay? Follow them so that you will provide the proper experience for your users. Again, consistency. Remember, consistency is not a barrier to innovation. In fact, consistency will promote innovation by making it a priority while thinking about innovative design ideas is actually a secret to success. Why do you think McDonald's are famous or successful? Because they are consistent. Okay? Let's talk about Happy Meal, for example. Okay? They are consistent with the quality of toys they develop for the kids. Alright? So much so that the kids keeps on coming back because the toys are big, sturdy, well made. Okay? They are very consistent. Why do you think is Facebook in the world of social media is successful? Because they are consistent in their design. Have you ever seen a red Facebook in your entire life? They are very consistent with their color choices, right? They did not change it to yellow, violet, green. They just stick to the same color since they started designing. They may play around with the shades, but it is still the same color since they started. Okay, so that is what consistency is all about.